Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or wanting to revisit an old classic, let us be your guide through the infinite list of TV shows.
So come join us every Friday as we discuss the pilot for a TV show while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storylines.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, where your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we skipped a Friday, and you're
Yes.
getting this episode on a Tuesday, and we are recording this on Monday.
It's been crazy. I've
Yes.
had this is the end of my work travel.
This has been, even back before COVID, I don't think your travel schedule was this crazy.
Oh no, this has been nuts.
Yeah, but this is your last week until the spring semester starts in January.
We hope, fingers
winter,
crossed.
Spring. Yeah, there's a possibility you might have to go again, but
One more.
okay, so we are in week 2 technically of Jeff month, where I am telling you my autobiography via reality TV.
All right.
So not only is this my favorite reality show, I have gone on the record several times as this is my all-time favorite TV show.
Gotcha.
Of any scripted or unscripted. I am a huge fan. I just displayed my nerddom to you when you asked me who was all on this cast, and I just told you from memory. And it is just one of those shows that I can't get enough of. I will watch old episodes of it. I love this show so much. You ask me any question about the challenge, and I will most likely know the answer. And that is what we are doing today. We are doing the challenge, originally called the Real World Road Rules Challenge, originally called Road Rules All-Stars. We'll get into that. But, yeah, so this is probably one of the first shows that you and I ever talked about, if not the first show you and I ever talked about.
It was both in our profiles
Yeah.
on OkCupid, and I remember seeing it on your profile,
Yeah.
and that to me was such a rarity of seeing someone say that it was one of their favorite TV shows, and
Yeah.
I think it was in mine.
Yeah.
Because I would still watch it.
Mhm.
And so I think that was really one of the first things we started talking about at the Londoner when
Yeah.
we met up, because it was going on or had just ended.
Rivals
or,
3, I think, was still going on at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the infamous Banana stole the money from Sarah. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about. Got a lot of history to talk about, so Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
The Challenge 19, Fresh Meat 2, Nice to Meet You. The Challenge is a competition reality show that premiered on MTV on April 20th, 1998. The series is currently airing its 41st season, Vets versus New Threats. The challenge began as a spinoff to Real World and Road Rules. In case you don't know, Real World is considered to be the first reality show that centers around 7 strangers from different walks of life that have to live together, work together, and find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. Road Rules was a spin-off of Real World that centers around 6 strangers from different walks of life that travel around in an RV together and complete tasks or missions, as they used to be called. The idea for Challenge originally came from season 2 of Road Rules, when they were tasked with stealing the 8-ball from the Real World Miami house. The crew posed as a cleaning company and successfully stole the 8-ball.
That's pretty epic. I mean,
I remember. I
that
totally
was so
remember
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
I also really remember that episode because I had also applied to be on Real World Miami, and I always just kept being like, I would have been living in that house.
Yep.
The first official face-off was Real World Boston and Road Rule Islands, while the Real World cast was vacationing in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The first official season of the challenge was titled Road Rules All-Stars. 5 former Real World cast members go on an RV and complete missions for a grand prize at the end, or a handsome reward, as it used to be called on Road Rules.
All this terminology just came flooding back to me as I was typing all this out.
I remember the handsome reward when they got like the trip and they got
it was
VW
always
bugs.
The original prize for at Road Rules was if you completed your final mission, then you would get a trip for 2 to wherever you wanted to go.
Oh, I remember real Road Rules 2. They got like VW bugs or something. The second season was titled The Real World Road Rules Challenge, and this was the title of the show until season 19, when it was finally changed just to The Challenge. The original format was former cast members of Real World and Road Rules competing against each other for a prize, like a free trip to a specific destination or a cash prize. By season 5, Battle of the Seasons, they increased the number of cast members as well as bumped the cash prize to $300,000. The winning prize money stayed the same amount until season 30, the Dirty 30, when it was increased to $1 million. Professional skier Johnny Mosley, pro BMX rider Dave Mira were the original host, but it was on season 11, The Gauntlet 2, when pro BMX rider TJ Lavin took over as host, and he's had the job ever since. In 2004, when Road Rules was canceled, the casting pool for the challenge began to decrease. So season 12's Fresh Meat brought in a group of unknown competitors and were paired with the challenge vets. Later on, the challenge would bring in former cast members of other reality shows like Are You the One?, Big Brother, Survivor, The Amazing Race, and others. Over the years, the challenge has become one of the most popular competition reality shows, as well as creating spin-off shows such as All Stars, Champs vs. Pros, The Challenge USA, The Challenge World Championship, and international shows in the UK, Australia, and Argentina.
Worldwide.
Season 19, Fresh Meat 2, repeated the same format as the original Fresh Meat. A group of unknown challenge hopefuls were paired with returning players in hopes of becoming the next challenge champion. You can currently watch older seasons of the challenge on Paramount Plus, and the current season is airing on MTV.
Wednesday nights, 9/8 Central.
Yes.
Okay, so I first started watching the challenge. So I briefly talked about Real World on the Bug Juice episode, that I watched Real World with my sister, and I watched Road Rules with my sister, but I was just like, I was really young, and I didn't fully understand what I was watching.
Yeah.
And then once, like, Bug Juice came out, and that kind of opened my brain to, like, reality TV, that was when I started to understand Real World and Road Rules, and around that time was when the first season of the challenge started. But I don't remember really watching the challenge until, I think it was season 4, which was Extreme Challenge, that had, like, Christian, Emily Bailey, Ayanna, Latyrian. It had a lot of, like, it had a really good cast, and it had freaking Julie Stouffer. And,
wow.
So I remember watching that and being like, oh, this show is really cool. But it really wasn't until Battle of the Seasons when it had, like, the full, like, 32 cast members, I think, were on that season, and what was the one after that? Battle of the Sexes, which had, I think, the same amount of people, which Battle of the Sexes is one of the best seasons of the challenge. I don't know where you can find it because it's not on Paramount Plus, but
I love that season.
Such a good season. But I think why it was just so unique compared to every other kind of competition reality show where each season they would bring in a completely new set of cast members. The challenge just kept bringing back people that you already knew, people that you were already familiar with. If you watch the Real World or Road Rules, and each new season of Real World or Road Rules, you'd watch it and be like, okay, so who do I think is going to be on the challenge? Like, who do I think would do well on the challenge? Sometimes it was predictable. Sometimes someone you thought was going to come on and do great, they flopped, versa versa. I don't actually know why I love the show so much. I've thought about it. I've pondered on it. I honestly don't know. I think what at the end of the day, I just really like the familiarity of the cast. I really like the idea of, can I do that? Could I do that? What would I do in that situation? I also love the drama. I love the hookups, the rivalries, the fights,
the parties,
the friendships that are formed, the relationship, the relationships that are formed, their nights out, the interactions when they're not competing against each other. Like, and the familiarity of, like, loving Real World and Road Rules so much, and feeling like that parasocial, I'll go ahead and say parasocial, that parasocial feeling of feeling like you know these people and you're familiar with them. And then once social media really started to rise, then we really started to get to know these people in a way that we didn't before. But yeah, I don't know what it is about the challenge, but I just can't get enough of it. Like, I just can't get enough of it. I've watched all of the spinoffs. I've watched every episode. The last 2 seasons, I've kind of fallen off of it just because we're just not cable watchers anymore. So, like, it really is kind of just waiting for it to come out on Paramount Plus. Also, it's also really difficult when spoilers are available online.
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of ruins it.
I was going to ask you about that.
It kind of ruins it for me. So, yeah, I first started looking at spoilers of the challenge when I was back in the IMDb message board days. They no longer exist. I think they shut it down in like 2017. But that was the first time I ever saw a spoiler. It was for the Gauntlet 3, and I got the full, like,
list.
Who was on the cast, the elimination order, who went up against who, the final, who won, how it happened, and that was the season when Big Easy had a heart attack during the final, and the rookies won by default. That was a train wreck. That was during the train wreck era where it was just a really toxic casting and a really dark era of the challenge. But I love this show. I'll always love this show. So why do you think you like the challenge so much? I know it's not one of your. I know it's not. You don't love it. It's not like one of your favorites. Like it is mine.
I would say it is.
Oh, okay.
I mean, obviously, I have fallen off of it the last few seasons. We did watch. For up until
Ryder dies. And
yeah.
That was.
But I will say I have dropped off just because I just have not had time to keep up with it.
Yeah.
We have so many other shows to watch because of the pod, but just because so much stuff is out. I did watch the absolute original of when it was Sean Duffy, our Department of Transportation Secretary, Rachel Campos, and when their relationship started, she had actually, and with Cynthia, and then John, and was Montana on that show? No, she was not.
I might be thinking of like the first official season.
No, I'm talking about when it was just the 5 of them from
All Stars. Gotcha.
From Real World that were in the RV. She had just been in an accident, and actually her...
Who's Cynthia?
No, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel.
Rachel Campos had just been in a really bad car accident, and she had been dating an MTV producer, and I think he died in that accident.
Oh,
I
wow.
think they were close to either getting married or engaged or had been together for a while, and I think another passenger in the car had died, but she had survived.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember that as a big part of it. I remember that being in the news. And then when this came out, I think John was also from LA was on this season. And so I just loved all of them from their seasons. And so I watched it. You know, I love an RV. I love anything that has anything to do with traveling and challenges and scavenger hunts. And I think that was originally how it kind of started. Road Rules started was kind of a scavenger hunt. And then obviously the Real World Road Rules and this intimation has become kind of more of like a challenge, puzzle, strength, endurance, and all of those things. I love all that. I mean, I love Big Brother. I love Survivor. I used to watch Amazing Race. It's like those are like all of them had babies together, you know. And so I think kind of like you said, these were people I already knew and had been invested in. And for the most part, I think a lot of the seasons were really just fun, and it was fun seeing them again. It was like seeing your old friends meeting up for like a reunion. As you know, I do not enjoy a competition where people are mean to one another.
Yes.
I do not like people outwardly targeting someone, and I hate using the word bullying because I believe this even moves beyond bullying.
Yeah.
I think some people have truly been attacked and villainized and victimized during their seasons on the challenge, and the people that have done that have since been removed. There are quite a few, male and female, that have been no longer invited, and I'm glad. But, during those episodes, it always did really, really stress me out. Like, okay, why aren't you doing something about this?
Yeah.
And I think obviously current social media, message boards, spoilers, stuff gets out about production, and a lot of that has stopped. I mean, there's still the competition, and there's still the cliques and the groups of girls, who have been besties and they've dated and we are exes. I think you've still got a good competition, but it's in a competitive way,
right,
and not in a hate way.
Yeah.
I think there is some fake hate. I mean, you've got your Bananas and Wes, who are like great friends on Instagram, but you get them on the challenge and they freaking hate each other.
Right.
So it's kind
very
of
performative,
like, Yes.
Yeah.
And so that I can appreciate. Like, all right, Bananas and Wes are going to be on it. Let's bring it. You know, so, and then you've got the girls who all hate Laurel or all hate Cara Maria because they're good.
Right.
And they're strong, and they are also just great competitors. So, I think those things are somewhat healthy. It's the mean things. It's the physical attacking, the verbal attacking that are unnecessary. I love a competition. And so I think that's why I have always loved this. I also have loved to see how the show has evolved.
Oh, yeah.
Very much a la like Big Brother. I haven't kept up with Survivor in many moons. I probably watched maybe the first 10 or 15 seasons of Survivor, but not lately. But like Big Brother, Big Brother producers have to keep up with the machinations of the contestants, where they can work the vote, they can work the numbers, they can work the competitions. And so I think Challenge has had to do that. I mean, the famous season when that one guy that I felt bad for that they kept throwing in.
Oh, Jay.
I was going to say John, but I knew that wasn't right. When Jay kept going in and he had gotten like 3 skulls, and I kept saying like, okay, when are they going to like put someone else in?
Yeah.
Like he should have 3 credits. Like he he should be.
I hated that.
Like,
I hated that twist.
And of course, then they changed it where you had to have a skull to get to the final. So they couldn't keep just putting in the same person. They eventually had to go in and win. And so I can appreciate that. I love the work of the producers because it also makes them savvy too. It's making them keep up. So I like all of it. I like both sides, the producers, the competitions, and kind of how it has evolved since its inception.
Do you have a favorite seasons?
Oh, I'm gonna say the early ones.
Right.
I do love when initially they did it easy, when they were like, all right, you're at the bottom, you're going home.
When they had the leaderboard.
The leaderboard.
I
voting.
I loved the leaderboard. The inner circle in the leaderboard. Yeah.
I like hidden votes. I hate the votes where they're all in a room and then they all just start going after one another, like the same, like I vote for Jeff. I vote for Jeff. I vote for Jeff. It's like, well, of course they're all going to follow suit, because then there's no loss there.
Right.
There's no danger.
The bandwagon effect, as it's called.
Right. Yeah. I love a private vote where you don't know who voted, like a Big Brother vote.
That was what they did on Cutthroat. I think that was season 20, where it was season after this one, where they went down to the dungeon to cast their vote.
Yes.
And I remember watching that season with you, and you were like, finally.
Yes. Yes, because I'd been saying that. I was like, I hate those open votes, because then you also get pressured, because you might want to vote a different way.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh God, they're all going to know that I didn't vote the way that, so I always feel like those open votes like really ruin it.
Yeah.
So.
I have such a strong memory bond, whatever you want to call it, with the first gauntlet, when Sarah Grayson, they kept sending her into elimination. So the first gauntlet, that was the first season where they had elimination rounds. That was before that. Well, the 2 seasons before that, they voted people off. And then the seasons before that, there was no vote off. There was no elimination. It was just 6 people versus 6 people. And they were essentially doing road rules. That's originally what the challenge was.
Right,
like they were traveling around an RV. Whoever won the daily mission would get the good RV. The losers would get the shitty RV. Yeah. And then they would switch off. And then the final prize was like $5,000 or something like that. You know, I think Mark Long said when he was on the first season of the Real Road Rules Challenge, he was on Zach Nichols' podcast, and he said the first challenge he walked away with $8,000, but to him he was just like, that's like free money to him. You know what I mean? So at the time it was like people were killing each other over 10 grand.
Right.
Nowadays they're killing each other over $1 million, which is just funny when you think about the comparison.
Oh yeah.
But the public vote, I liked when it was a case like it was for Sarah, who she kept getting voted into elimination and she kept winning. So it was almost like a middle finger to her team, who kept sending her in, because that's the strategy on the challenge. A frustrating thing that they do on the challenge is once they kind of pick someone, they're going to keep sending them in, because it's like, why would you piss off another person?
Yeah.
And I hate it, but I mean, like, I understand the strategy, and honestly, if I was on that team, I'd probably do the same thing. But like, seeing her win 5 eliminations, which no one has beat that. No one still has. People have tied her, but no one has beat her elimination record yet. She went in 5 times, made it to the end, and won. And she's only done 1 season. She never came back, so she has
a 100%
legendary status. And when they did the challenge Untold Stories, when they did the episode of Underdogs, you know, that's like my favorite episode. I watch it all the time. Hearing her talk about it now, not realizing, you know, because they don't show everything. You see a very small portion of what they end up filming. It's very heavily edited. It has to
45 minutes.
Back then it was 25-minute episodes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the full hour. Now they're 90-minute episodes. So it's like you get even more now.
Like a movie.
And, you know, seeing her be like, I wanted to leave, but then that means that they win. That means that they were right, and she couldn't have that. And I couldn't help but watch that and, like, get a little emotional, because I remember watching it. This is long before I knew about spoilers, or if spoilers even existed. And I remember her doing the hangman thing where she's hanging upside down. And she is just staying there. And I just remember, like holding my breath.
I was going to bring that up. I was like, I remember her hanging.
And her, like, looking over at the person who's just, like, struggling. And this was before they had gender-based. This was when guys and girls were going up against each other.
Yeah.
And they did have really good gender-neutral eliminations. But just seeing her, you know, I
just
love
calm.
The underdog story, the underdog episode. I love so much of Challenge Untold Stories, because that was my favorite part of the challenge. Was people who were underestimated. I feel like you and I are both small people. I think you and I, competitively, physically, whatever, are very underestimated people. I love, like, the Inferno 2, which infamously had The Miz and Jamie Chung on the same team. Never in a million years will that happen again. But it was good guys versus badasses, and the badasses were just steamrolling that competition. And it was like I think the good guys lost like almost every elimination. By the final, there was like 4 people left on their team, but it was The Miz, Darrell, Landon, and Jamie. So you had like 4 like stacked like competitors versus the badasses who had like Tina, Tanya, Veronica, people that like were winded after like, I mean, this is back when the finals were just like 5Ks. I mean, like it was basically like
not climbing a mountain
2 hours of your life that you had to commit. And even back then people were getting winded and running out of breath. Tina has never been good in a final. That's why she's hilarious. But anyway, like, and then the good guys win, and it's just like, you know, we're not expecting that. And I think that's why I love the season that we're doing today, which is season 19, Fresh Me Too. Because so when I decided to do the challenge, we could have just very easily done Road Rules All-Stars and start from the beginning, but I didn't connect with that. And since this is like my autobiography, I kind of have to go with my favorite season. Fresh Meat 2 is my favorite season, even though I really enjoyed Fresh Meat 2 because you had these 2 sides of the house, and you had Kenny's side and you had Wes's side. Wes and Kenny hate each other. We'll get into that in a second. But Wes's side had the numbers. And so Kenny's side was just they were just picking them off. Like Paula went home, Sarah went home, like all these people were going home. And then, but Kenny and Laurel and then Jillian and Pete and Landon and Carly just kept taking everybody out. And they just kept taking out that other side. And it was by the end of it, the people that you thought were going to get steamrolled were the ones that made it to the final. And so that's why I love Fresh Me Too so much, because it was just like, I was not expecting it. It was very surprising. The winners, I would not have bet on that in a million years. Who beats Darrell and Cara Maria in the first elimination? I would have bet all my money on Darrell and Cara Maria to win. Spoiler, we're going to go over it anyway, but like, and I just love that aspect of the challenge. It's just like people that are underestimated, people that are pushed into a corner and just have to fight their way out. And that's why I love it. That's why I love the underdog aspect of it. I love Derek Kaczynski. I love Devin Simone. I love Jordan. I love all these people that Nani, Leroy, like all these people that are always underestimated, but then they come in and they just kick ass. And like, I love that. I love me a scrappy competitor. Derek Kaczynski will always be my favorite, but yeah. So that's ultimately why, some of my favorite seasons is definitely Fresh Me Too. That's my number one favorite. I loved War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
that's
I like
probably
that
my other second favorite season. Came really close to doing that one. The second War of the Worlds, I love the Inferno 2. That was the one with The Miz and Jamie Chung. But Battle of the Seasons and Battle of the Sexes was just such good TV.
Oh,
it was just such good TV. You had
the wedding.
Oh, you
Someone
had
brought
Puck.
their baby.
You had Puck. Yeah, Baloo brought her baby on Battle of the Seasons. They're in the middle of a freaking hurricane in Mexico.
They had a wedding.
That cast was stacked. Battle of the Sexes, you had Puck versus David, which we're not going to get into that. But like, they had their beef, and like, it was just all of this like. Battle of the Sexes is crazy because there's just so many people that just did that one season and then you just never saw them again.
Right.
And then some of them just kind of kept popping up, like Christina from Road Rules Australia. She's like a famous stand-up comedian now.
Oh, okay.
Theo Von, we all know who Theo Von is now. Like, it's just
he had a residency in Vegas.
Right.
He was here at the LSU game or some game somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of great Louisiana natives that were on Real World and Road Rules.
Wait. No, Corey's not. Who am I thinking of? Corey Wharton?
He's not from Louisiana.
Who's from?
Tony Raines.
Tony. But
I had to go through.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I know it's a short name. Tony he's from Hammond.
Trishelle.
I love Trishelle. Shout out to Trishelle. She's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But shout out to Corey. His daughter just had open heart surgery.
Oh, cutie.
He has been posting
He's
pictures of her.
faves,
He is one of my favorites. He is. Been posting on Instagram, so best wishes out for her recovery. We love Corey. I love Corey. And then who's his other buddy?
Nelson.
Who
lost a leg. Yeah.
Yes, he was in an accident.
Yeah.
Again, yes, and I think that's also kind of it now is with social media and the internet. Early on, you kind of got news or you maybe heard about them, but then in the early 2010s, social media just ramped things up.
I remember not knowing that Michelle Parma died until like years after it happened.
Oh, I remember when she died.
Yeah. And I remember when Frankie Abernathy died because she was a punk girl. She was on Real World San Diego with Brad and Robin.
Yeah, Michelle Parma was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
Yep, she was from College Station, one of those places. Yeah. So I mean, I could talk all day about the challenge. I wish I could. I honestly wish I could. Honestly wish I could get paid to just talk about the challenge all day because I would.
I know if there weren't already podcasts on it by the actual people that were on the shows, like I think you could do a podcast on it, but obviously every show now has their show. So
so many.
And that was one of the first podcasts we listened to.
Challenge Mania.
Yeah, Challenge Mania.
Derek and Scott.
Yeah, and we had wanted to go. They sometimes come to New Orleans because so many are from Louisiana and the Gulf Coast.
It's a good central spot for like a lot of the southern natives.
But it hasn't been around here. Yeah, it was like the Howling Wolf, and it just was not a good place. But if they ever come back, we always check it out to see when it is. So
okay, so do you consider yourself to be a competitive person?
Yes, without a doubt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have expected you to say that.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely am competitive and it's really against myself. It's really like can I solve the puzzle? Can I finish this race? Can I do this thing? It's not always so much to beat someone, which of course, if there is like a puzzle and I'm competing against 10 people to do it, one, I would like to win, but I also just want to see if I can finish the puzzle.
Right.
It's very much like, I'm not going to brag about the 2 half marathons that I've done because they took me almost 4 hours to complete them. I was walking and semi-jogging them. But my medal was the exact same medal as the person who finished first.
Right.
Now, of course, he probably got a, special little ceremony at the end, but my medal was the exact same. And I can appreciate that, but I do love a good competition. I love problem solving. I like seeing how someone else problem solves.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that Jay versus CJ episode. CT. God, I get all their names mixed up sometimes. But CT, when everyone just was like, yeah, CT is going to annihilate him.
It was
There's
a
no
puzzle
chance.
strategy, and that CT's like specialty. So everyone just thought
it was the ropes.
it was the chained up room. Oh,
right.
There's some strategy to
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yes.
And it's also very physical.
It's very, yes. But they all thought CT was going to just annihilate him, and he didn't.
Oh,
I
so
mean, in
good.
fact, it was a great
Yeah.
reverse of fortune. I mean, and I
It was
think
his- it was Jay's
everyone
first- it was Jay's first season.
just in shock. And so that's what I love. I love that a competition can truly go any direction.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter, like you said, an underdog could totally win it.
Mhm.
So I do. I love a good competition. I like surprising people. I mean, I don't always win, and usually I'm kind of a little bummed, but I'm always like, well, maybe I'll learn something of how to do it new the next time. Again, kind of like I said before, of how the shows have evolved, and that goes for any reality competition show that has come on that has had multiple seasons. They keep having to stay ahead of the contestants because the contestants, especially with blogs and strategy and YouTube and how to finish this in a minute or whatever.
There's a puzzle app for everything now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I am very competitive.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't really know if I am or not. I don't think I really was when I was younger, just because there were so many people around me that were so competitive and, for lack of a better term, were sore losers. And that was always what kind of made me like not want to be competitive, because I didn't want to be viewed. Of course, I didn't understand the difference at the time. You can be competitive and not be a sore loser, but I always kind of put those two together. My younger stepbrother is a sore loser, and a lot of my friends were sore losers. A lot of people that I played sports with were sore losers, and so it was just kind of like, it really kind of made being competitive like not
Fun.
desirable to me. Like, and I just started to develop this mentality of, I want to play this sport, but I just want to have fun. So once you kind of reach a certain age, that mentality doesn't really work anymore. Once you get to be like teenager age, it just becomes about winning. And that just was never my desire. I just wanted to like play soccer. I just wanted to like have fun. And, of course, winning feels great. And of course, accomplishing something feels great, but that wasn't never like I think a lot of people play sports because they want to win, or they want to like look like a winner, they want to look cool, or they want to do this or that. But like, for me, it was just always about having fun. I'm competitive about random things. Like, I'm competitive about like general knowledge on things. Like, I'm competitive about like when other people think that they are better at me over something that like I'm very passionate about, like cooking, or like if I was on like a cooking reality show, I think I would like go balls to the wall. Like, I think I would like go get crazy competitive, because I'm like, I got this, I'm gonna win. Obviously, I would never last on Top Chef, but I mean, like, if it was a normal like line cook,
Right, like
line
a guy's grocery games,
Right.
I think you could do something.
give me a bunch of ingredients and tell me to make a type of food, and I will figure it out. Like, and that's always been my thing. But yeah, I've just never been like a super competitive person. I think it's what? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think you've really kind of said the same thing in kind of a different way than
Yeah.
I am, because like I think I may have talked about this on one of the pods, but when I used to play cabbage ball and softball, I remember being little and going to the like Orleans Parish, the New Orleans like championships for our playground.
Yeah.
And we lost. And back then there were no participation
Right.
trophies. You got the trophy or you didn't get the trophy. And all I remember was I wasn't so much bummed that we had lost. I just made it a goal that I wanted to get that trophy the next year. Like I was like, I want one of those.
Right.
And so like, because I mean, I don't know if jealous was the right word, but I was like, we worked really hard and we just came up short. And I don't know if I was that theoretical when I was like 8, but I just remember going like, I won a trophy.
Right, yeah.
And so the next year
Gotta
we
earn
made
it.
it
Yeah.
and we won. And so
Yeah.
I just remember getting that trophy and I was like, God, we earned it. We played so well. And I'm watching the Mariners right now playing the Toronto Blue Jays on my phone. I hope we win. But I think I'm, like I said, I'm competitive against myself.
Yeah.
And I just always
That's a good way to put it.
I just always want to do the best that I can.
Yes. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
But again, my parents were never like you've got to win and you got to
Same.
play.
I think that
and,
was
you
it
know,
too,
And,
yeah.
and I really hope I'm not a sore loser. I mean, you and I play Yahtzee and stuff.
We're
and we
joking,
joke
though,
and
yeah.
we pout when we don't get a Yahtzee or something. But obviously that's just between us and we, but anyway, yeah, I think that's kind of the competitive. It's truly mostly with myself.
Yeah, I guess I'm similar to that. I'm more into, right, like you said, just wanting to do the best that I can, and if I can just do the best I can, and if I really gave it my everything, then I'm okay with that. I've been on a lot of crappy teams I've been on baseball and soccer teams where we did not win a single game. Like I've been on those teams before. I've been a bad news bear. I've been, I've been in that situation. But I mean, I'm also, one of our first episodes, let me remind you, I'm a football state champion. So just remember that.
There you go.
Never in a million years would anyone ever think I'd be able to admit that, but it is true. I was in 6th grade. So yeah, I think you and I are competitive in our own way. I think that's like a good way to put it. I don't think you and I are like, what's his face from Southern Charm, who will call his girlfriend an idiot or whatever because they lost like an egg toss.
Shep.
Olivia, was it Olivia?
No, that was Taylor.
Taylor, same person.
Practically.
But yeah, so a big thing on the challenge, or a big thing that something that became a big thing, even starting with the very first season with Sean Duffy and Rachel Campos, which is so weird. We're talking about Sean Duffy even for a second, but that, a big thing that the challenge became known for were the hookups, the relationships. We've had marriages, we've had divorces, we've had hookups, we've had people cheating on each other. The show is also very famous for its rivalries, whether they're performative or not. Have you ever had like an active rivalry with someone where looking back on it, you were like, that was my rival?
I'm really thinking. I don't think so. I mean,
Or like like a frenemy.
Yeah, I can think of maybe even like it was probably mostly in college.
Yeah.
I can look back on law school, and I don't think I was competitive with anyone in law school because I was just, like I said, I just wanted to finish law school.
Yeah.
There were people that were competitive in law
yeah.
school that wanted to be like number 1 or win a moot court competition. But I was like, I just need to make my grades and get this dang degree. But in college, I think sometimes it lent itself more to like, who you were dating or what frat you were hanging out with, or were you on, in this college club or organization, and, if you were running for office in the sorority or something. But I chalk those things up to like you're 18 or 19 years old and you're just stupid. And, like I probably was myself. But I really can't think of any that got to a point of like hatefulness. I mean, there might be like one person or so that like if I never saw her again, it wouldn't be soon enough. But but no, not really. I mean, have you? I can't think of anyone for you.
They were like you just said. They were when I was younger. I've been a part of a one-sided rivalry that I had no idea I was a part of until way after the fact. So I think I would have been a sophomore in high school. So there was, I think I talked about it on the pod, but then I cut it because this was back when we were first starting out and we were a little bit more concerned with what we were saying, a little less concerned about it now because we're doing this podcast, we're putting ourselves out there. What's the point of hiding stuff? And, you know, like, what's the point of hiding it? Especially when it's general knowledge to people that, like, I went to high school with, if they remember. But so when I was in 10th grade, I foolishly came to school under the influence, and it became kind of widely known around school that I got suspended for coming to school on stuff. And it was I got suspended, and then I kind of had to come back to school and kind of deal with that. And I kind of there was a little bit of a spotlight on me for a little while. Like,
are you saying from like the students or the faculty?
From the students.
Oh, okay.
The teachers didn't, honestly, it was a public school. Teachers didn't really care. At some point in my sophomore year, after that happened, sometime after that happened, I started dating this girl that was on the dance team, and she was a ninth grade, and she had dated this guy who we had the same name, and I'll just kind of go ahead and say my middle name was his last name too, which was really weird.
Wow.
Which is really weird. It was spelled differently, but yeah. She had dated him, and apparently he like was in love with her as much as you can be when you're 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And I dated this girl. We didn't really date for that long, but I found out after the fact that he like hated me because I was dating his ex-girlfriend, and he actually, and it's so funny because I never saw this and no one ever told me about it. No one ever said anything about it. Him and his friend came to school, and you're going to love this because there was a club named after people who hated you when you were in middle school.
Yep.
They came to, and I completely forgot about this, but they came to school wearing shirts that said, "We hate Jeff," which his name was Jeff, which is super funny. But like, "We hate Jeff," maybe it was like the "We Hate Jeff Club" or "We Hate Jeff." And then on the back it said volumes are bad because I came to school. That was what I came to school under the influence of. And I had no idea that they did this. Just kind of show that like they weren't going to come up to me and say, do this thing. And probably people in his grade saw their shirt and was just like, what are you talking about? I went to a really big high school. Ninth graders weren't knowing about what was going on in 10th grade and vice versa. So like, it was just really funny that like after all this, I mean, when I talked to other people in his grade, they would be like, "Oh, you're Jeff?" I'm just like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, the other Jeff hates you." Like he apparently he would spend a lot of time talking about how much he hated me, and I had no idea. I went up to him one time after me and this girl broke up, and after all of this, still not fully knowing who he was, but seeing his name on his lunchbox thing and being like, "Hey, we have the same," like having no idea that this dude hated me. And that was when I learned. Someone came up to me like, "Dude, that dude hates you." And I'm just like, "What?" And then like that was when I learned like the whole thing. But it's just really funny because like it's just so weird when someone just hates you and you have no idea that they exist.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what it was. Like, I had no idea that this dude existed, and he wanted me to die in his dramatic ninth grade brain.
Right.
Hopefully he doesn't still feel that way. It was a really long time ago. It was like 25 years ago. But yeah, so that is probably the closest thing I've ever had to a rivalry. I am not I'm a pretty easy person to deal with. I'm a pretty easy person to be friends with.
Too.
I know I have my issues with in the past with like friends and stuff like that, but for the most part, yeah, people who don't like me, I don't think it's an active rivalry. They just don't like me, or I just don't like them. Like, I don't think we're wasting each other's time with actively hating each other. But yeah, so, and another thing that the challenge is known for is hookups, exes, and stuff like that. There was an entire season, 1 or 2, 3 seasons where it was Battle of the Exes, where exes had to, from the challenge, had to work together. Have you ever had to work with an ex?
Well, as you know, I have not had many boyfriends in my time. But I will say, sort of, I will say the only time I've probably ever worked with a quote unquote ex, but it was mostly just a guy I went out with or hooked up with, was when I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. And you just ended up having to go and be like, oh God. And then you knew, everybody knew that y'all had hooked up, and it was just teenage drama and angst. And a bunch of the girls all went to my high school, and then all of the guys all went to like West Jeff High School on the West Bank. And so
the wank,
the West Bank, the wank. And so, yeah, that was just uncomfortable. I mean, I was like the birthday hostess and the server and stuff. They were all in the back making pizzas. So it wasn't like we really had to work together, except just see each other. But it was annoying because you knew just all the guys would talk about shit, bad about the girls and whatever they wanted to say. But work-wise, no. I mean, I've never really worked really, I cannot think. I didn't date anyone at Maison Blanche. I have never dated anyone with Thomson Reuters. No one with the law firm that I worked at in New Orleans. So yeah, Chuck E. Cheese, I would say, is probably the only place that I've ever hooked up with anyone at work. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the closest thing I've done to working with an ex is having to, when I would date a coworker and then we would break up. So technically I was working with an ex. So technically I was working with an ex. That's only happened to me twice. I think I've talked about one. That was the one who she broke up with me via a text message right before I went into a shift. And I was like in my car about to walk in, and she sends me this really long text breaking up with me. That's, all good. But I just remember those next few weeks of having to work with her. I'm like, wow, this sucks. I'm just like, this really sucks. But it's also interesting because it helped me kind of get over her, because once we were broken up and once that was all said and done, I kind of started to see her from another perspective. And that was when I kind of started to notice, like, yeah, we weren't compatible. It was just like, I just remember one shift where she was talking about something that had happened on another shift where she had like slipped and fallen, and anybody that would come near her, she would tell that story to, like it was this really interesting, amazing story. And in the back of my mind, I'm just like, wow, you really like attention, don't you? I'm just like, wow, you really you just want to be the center of, or you just desperately like want to be validated. It was just, I just remember that happening and it just being a very unattractive thing. I know I'm making it sound probably more than it is, but
Well, I was going to ask you, and of course you and I, as everyone knows, are pretty age difference.
Yeah.
But I will say my difference was, like, this was back in the mid 80s when I dated this guy. And so I think it was different because we only saw each other at work.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have email, paging, text, whatever. I said, so do you think it was different having an ex with so much technology available? Did that matter?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I didn't really, because I dated someone before that and we broke up and still had to work together. That was right before I moved to Florida, and that was really kind of before. That was kind of like right on the cusp of, like, I think MySpace was really the only thing that was around at that point. Maybe Facebook, but like, yeah, there really wasn't, texting wasn't really a thing for me yet. Like, I had a little Sony Ericsson cell phone, like, that had tiny little buttons. Like, I wasn't texting people on that. And you used to get charged by the text back then. So
Gosh, yes.
we didn't have internet or anything. Wasn't a smartphone. So yeah, I didn't really, it didn't really make a difference. I think the only real difference was kind of how easy it was to communicate with each other.
That's what, yeah.
So maybe that had something to do with it. I mean, like, I think that was the first and only time I've ever been broken up with through a text message. So that was a new experience for me. It didn't feel good. It wasn't a good feeling. But I've ghosted girls in the past, so I can't really talk too much shit. But yeah, so yeah, I don't think I've ever had to, like, it wasn't like a serious enough of an ex for it to really have like a lasting impact on me. I really kind of had to think about it, other than the one that I was just talking about. Technically, there was another one, but that was like so long ago that like I really kind of that was nearly 20 years ago, so I had to kind of dig deep for that one. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
All right, so let's get into this plot summary.
Let's get into it. We're already deep
into
into this. Yeah, I know. You need to make us dinner.
Make some fresh meat.
Well, that's what we're having.
All right. Fresh Meat 2 pilot summary. Welcome to beautiful Whistler, British Columbia. We've been close-ish to there. We went to Squamish.
Yeah.
Our
first trip together.
Absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite locations they've ever had, not just because we went there. Our host, TJ Lavin, welcomes 13 brand new competitors called Fresh Meat. They have spent the last 2 days in an intense combine where they were tested physically and mentally. Each Fresh Meat has specific stats that will help them or hurt them in the future. So I couldn't find episode 0. That was technically the Fresh Meat special where it was just the Fresh Meat, and they spent 2 days in a bunker in the middle of British Columbia, and they had to do all of these like sit-ups, pull-ups, the one where you jump up
like
and
the
hit
presidential
the things,
physical
the
fitness
vertical
test.
leap. Yeah, it was basically that, and they had to do an obstacle course. Personally, I feel like they should have had a little bit more to do, but the challenge was a little different back then. So they've gone through 2 days of hell, and then they now have their stats in a little booklet. The returning players, or vets as they are called on the challenge, arrive just in time to meet the newbies, or rookies as they are called. Some more challenge terminology for you. The vets are given a booklet, and it has all the Fresh Meat stats. The vets each take a random totem pole with a number on the bottom. That number represents the order in which the vets will pick their partner. So completely random, no favoritism. I really liked that. But who gets the first pick but the man himself, Darrell,
My boo.
who's one of your favorites, Road Rules Campus
All
Crawl.
time.
Road Rules Campus Crawl, one of the best seasons of Road Rules.
I love Darrell.
He gets the first pick, which, I mean, now everyone is sweating because Darrell won the first Fresh Meat Challenge with Aviv, who now has had a little comeback on the challenge, which I'm also excited about. She was always one of my favorites. Darrell picks Car Maria, who was technically number 1 of the stats, which is insane considering that Laurel was also there. But those two have been kind of neck and neck with, who's the best female competitor of all time. Really insane that they both came from Fresh Meat. Jen picks Noor, who's my favorite Fresh Meat cast member. Love me some Noor. Kenny, who started his challenge career on the first Fresh Meat season, picks Laurel. Danny picks Sandy. Sandy isn't too happy. I know. Sandy isn't too happy because Danny has a reputation of being an asshole and for being one of the worst challenge competitors of all time. I think that dude is 0-7. That's his elimination record. Never seen a final. Also funny because it's Danny and Sandy like in Grease. The message boards loved that. Wes wants to pick Mandy, but she reminds him of Casey, his partner on the first Fresh Meat season. Even though Wes and Casey made it to the final on Fresh Meat 1, it was an uphill battle. He blames it on Casey. Wes is the one that always gets in his own way, so it was always Wes's fault. And I love that every time he tries to talk shit about Casey, they cut to the clip of him calling her a stupid bitch, making Wes look like the asshole because he was.
Yep.
And they came in last place because Wes is an asshole. So Wes picks Mandy anyway because she's a long-distance runner, hoping that might help him out in the long run. Ryan, who also started his career as a Fresh Meat, picks Teresa. Not sure why Teresa wasn't picked earlier because Teresa is kind of known for being like the third best to come from Fresh Meat 2. She ended her challenge career, but she was a beast. Always wanted her to win, but she never did. CJ picks Sydney. It's CJ's first season. He was on Real World Cancun. And Landon doesn't have to pick anyone because the only girl left is Carly. Even though Carly has a lot of skills, she DQ'd on the obstacle course, which is why no one picked her. She couldn't get over that wall. Paula picks Jeff because she thinks he's cute. Classic Paula.
Oh,
I know. I was very excited that there was finally a Jeff on the challenge or on any of those reality shows. Sarah picks Vinny. Jillian picks Pete. Also not sure why he wasn't picked earlier because he had really good stats. Caitlin picks Brandon. That leaves Luke as the last pick, but there were only 12 vets. TJ gives some good news. There was a 13th cast member, but they were unable to leave the country, so they flew in the alternate that will be Luke's partner. This is the infamous story about how John A. lost her passport at the airport, I think. She's told the story before. I don't remember it in full, so I'm not going to tell it because obviously I don't know it, but apparently she went to the airport and lost her passport on the way to the airport. Something like that happened.
Left it in the
she
cab
was
or
she
something?
was she was in her 20s. This is early days. This is before John A became a beast. This is before she became a champ. So and also it was Canada, which is really funny that she couldn't get into Canada without a passport. The entire cast entered the newest challenge house, which has a ski lodge aesthetic to it. Paula exclaims, "This is the best challenge house ever." I miss Paula. I wish she would come back to the challenge. I understand she has kids now and she's got a life, but she was always one of my favorites. She's so funny. Less than 5 seconds in the challenge house, alliances are already beginning to form, as one does on the challenge.
Of course.
Paula asked Luke who he'd want to be his partner. I love that he references Coral. Coral would be a great choice, but he was like, if she would come out of retirement, that would be ideal.
I don't wrestle.
Paula agrees with him, saying she's a great competitor, but she's also great for everyday conversation because she's hilarious. Agreed. Coral is hilarious. Luke's partner arrives at the house, and it's Evelyn, who is considered to be one of the best women to ever compete on the challenge. She also started off on the first Fresh Meat season. Everyone is excited to see her except for Paula because Evelyn is one of the best. I always love that Paula was always so real for that. I'm cool. We're cool with each other, but I want a shitty person here. I don't want a good competitor here. Are you kidding me? Wes is ecstatic because Evelyn is one of his besties, so now he has a strong ally. The consensus right now is Darrell is arguably the most well-rounded vet, and he has the top Fresh Meat girl as his partner. Wes is dead set on trying to get rid of Darrell and Cara Maria. The next day arrives, and it's challenge day. Today's challenge is called Dirty Mouth. There is a giant mud pit with a number of giant balls in the middle. There are less balls than there are players, so it's going to be a bit of like a musical chairs.
Yep.
A player must retrieve one of the balls and return it past the end zone. If you don't retrieve a ball, then you are eliminated. Sounds easy? Here's the twist. You are blindfolded. After some fighting, wrestling, but mostly players aimlessly wandering around, Kenny and Laurel are the winners, of foreshadowing for the rest of the season. The daily winners are safe from being nominated and have the power to send a team into elimination. The rest of the house then votes for the second team to go into elimination. I miss how simple the format used to be. I miss how simple this used to be. I think it was after this season where whoever came in last place automatically went into elimination, and then the rest of the cast would vote them in. I miss that format. It's way too complicated now with the skulls and the pulling the X and all of that stuff. It just. I understand you have to up the ante and you have to progress the show, but I miss it when it was just simple in its purest. This is when Wes starts to do work and try and convince everyone to sit in Darrell and Cara Maria. Wes is a bit apprehensive at first because him and Kenny have their famous rivalry, which was over a girl. He's willing to set aside their differences for 1 week to work together to get rid of the top competitor in the house. Kenny doesn't trust Wes for a second, but he knows that getting out a strong team early is the best strategy, which it is. It's a lot harder to get out of Darrell and Cara Maria when you're right before the final. Kitty and Laurel nominate Darrell and Cara Maria. Darrell isn't shocked, but Cara is. The beginning of Cara Maria crying all the time and whining all the time and playing the victim. The house nearly unanimously votes for Jillian and Pete to go against Darrell and Cara Maria in the elimination. Jill and Pete may not look like the toughest pair. They were most likely picked because they didn't have any strong ties to either side of the house. Yeah, so Jillian kind of came in, and she was another one that, girls don't like her because she's strong. And girls don't like her because she's unfiltered and she speaks her mind. Jillian is another one I wish would come back because she's also great TV. She's just so unfiltered and hilarious without trying, which makes it even funnier. That night, all the people not going to elimination the next day decide to party because that's what happens in the challenge house. Hookups begin to ensue. We got Teresa makes out with Wes, but admits she'd rather hook up with Kenny, which just reignites that whole, because their whole rivalry started because of a girl. Sarah makes out with Vinny, which was also kind of funny. Jen and Pete do a little smooching, a lot of hooking up this season. A big thing to remember from this season were the fights and the hookups, which you could say that about any season, but this season kind of is one of the more memorable ones.
Yeah.
The next day, the two teams get ready for their elimination, or exile, as it's called for this season. The exile is unique because the other players don't get to watch like they normally do on other seasons. I also love that.
Yes.
Because I feel like now fans are really starting to criticize the peanut gallery helping people in eliminations.
I hate that. I hate that.
I know you hate that, and I hate it too. And so I love exile because they're on their own. The cast doesn't know who won until they come back. Exiles are basically mini finals with checkpoint puzzles in between. Darrell and Cara start off strong. Jill and Pete don't look as ready for this elimination. Slow and Steady ended up winning the race, and it's a close one, but ultimately Jill and Pete surprised everyone by beating the once undefeated Darrell. This marks his first elimination loss ever, which was why I was so surprised that they won. But a lot of times, all you kind of have to do is the long distance running. And once you can kind of do that, like, you can do really well on the challenge. And those puzzles are always equalizers. You never know who's going to be a puzzle person. You never know who's going to be really good at it. Darrell and Cara Maria are very well known for not being that great at puzzles. Jillian and Pete were both really great at it. So that's what ended up happening. I was floored. I could not believe that they won. I was actually really impressed, and it made it more exciting because I was like, now a team isn't going to steamroll. So a team ended up steamrolling anyway. Jill and Pete returned to the... Oh, wait. Sorry, I missed it. Yeah, so this is Darrell's first elimination loss ever. Darrell gives Jill and Pete some words of wisdom. Take out Wes because he's the reason they're both in elimination. Jill and Pete return to the house. Everyone is genuinely surprised to see them. Kenny realizes the influence Wes has in the house and is now actively working to get rid of his #1 rivalry. End of episode. Pretty standard, I would say, for an episode 1. Pretty standard. I wouldn't say this really. What's interesting about Fresh Meat, especially the first season, especially the first episode, is that nothing really like kind of stands out. It's a very typical first episode. Yeah. It's what kind of happens later on that makes it a really great season. But it's on Paramount Plus. They have so many seasons of the challenge on Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah.
They have All Stars. They have Champs versus Pros. They have all the spinoffs. The Challenge UK, if you're a Below Deck fan, Courtney Veal was on the Challenge UK, which was really cool. I think she made it to the final. Yeah, so if you've never seen the Challenge, I mean,
where have you been?
I suggest you watch it. If you like competition reality shows, if you have Paramount Plus, you got all your tools. So, yeah, so I think that about wraps up this episode. We've been chatting for a while. All right. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us. Sorry, Anna just gave me like the funniest blank stare.
What? Oh my God.
Sometimes I really do wish we videoed these.
That would be dangerous.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right. I don't have too many. I have a TV. I have like the awards, like the medals.
Yeah.
Meat, the world, the map. Puerto Rico for the very first place. The motorcycle for TJ and Dave, the skis for Johnny Mosley, cash, Canada, because that's where this one was, the Canadian flag, a house, the mountains, and the ball to represent the first, like the ball pit.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.
And in the words of TJ Lavin, you killed it.
You killed it.